Let me start with QBWarship all the way in the UK, Footprint TV. We were there and we were highlighting some of the great gospel musicians who are doing so well in the UK, and she is one of them. So please don't go anywhere. Get to know about her, her ministry, and what God has blessed her with so that she will also be a blessing to you. Enjoy this conversation. I'll be right back.
Hello Ghana, hello UK. So we are here today on Artist Profile, where we're doing interviews of artists to find out their journey about their faith. And on today's show, we have an amazing artist, UK Ghanaian based artist. Her name is QBWarship, and we can't wait for you to find out more about her. Good evening, QBWarship. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Wow. Tell us about the name, QBWarship. Where do you get this name from?
Wow. I knew this day would come. My actual name is Barbara.
Okay.
And I feel like when I came into the UK, everybody was called Barbara.
Okay.
I mean, it's a very typical English name.
Okay.
Actually.
How long have you been in the UK? You said you came to the UK.
Oh, coming up to 20 years now.
Okay.
And when I came, I just felt like everybody's called Barbara. And I always sort of like leaned towards like leadership and queenship. And then there was a day, I believe the Lord gave me a revelation of who I am in Him. And that came with that leadership that I leaned towards, and that was Queen. And it came from 2 Peter 2. And it says, you are a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people. And my name, Barbara, actually means stranger.
Wow.
So I'm like, yeah, that's me for sure. The worship part of it came actually later on. As I developed and grew in ministry, I realized where it was within worship that the Lord had planted me, and that is warfare.
Wow.
So QBWarship.
Oh, amazing. And that's an amazing name.
Thank you.
And tell us a bit more about yourself.
Okay.
Your music journey. Where did it all begin for you?
Wow. I would say my music journey goes as far back as the age of even 5. I remember going into worship trances with my grandmother. So I was like an only child for a good period of time. And I lived a life back home in Ghana with that was a little bit caged, if you will. Like I wasn't really allowed to go out and play with other kids. They had to come home.
Is it because you're from a Christian family, so their values are a bit more strong?
So it was definitely strict in my household. And so my grandma was my best friend.
Oh.
And so we would do role play, and I'll tell her, I'm the headmistress, you're my student, or things like, I'm the pastor, you are my congregation.
Oh.
And whenever we would play church, I would lead worship, I'll lead praises. But whenever it got to worship, there was something about worship, even as young as a child, that I would just go into like a trance of worship and sing songs, like deep tree songs that I heard in church that I loved and didn't really have great understanding to, but I just knew there was such a deep connection to it. And I'll do those songs, and before I know it, I'll go on a loop. When I come out of this trance, right, my grandmother would just be there, rabba, and I'm like, you're not so fun to play with, because every time we play, all you do is just end up in this space. Exactly. But clearly there was something there.
Wow.
But obviously as young as I was, I didn't know. I just knew I loved music, I loved worship, I loved to sing. And in Ghana, we had light-offs as well.
Yeah.
So whenever that would happen, I think in my family, there was something pretty cool that my grandma endorsed me to do. We would usually be on the pavement in the cool of the evening, and I'll usually just be in a corner and I'll sing songs, and whoever knew how to sing it, even in the household, just joined in. And we'll just have these really cool moments. And when I came to this country, I started in Fountain Gate.
How long have you been in the country? You said 20 years, isn't
Almost
it?
20 years.
20 years, okay.
Yeah, coming up to 20 years. And when I came into this country, I joined the youth choir. I eventually became a youth choir leader. And then I joined the adult choir, even at the age of 14.
Wow.
And I think that's when I truly...
music
journey. Youth work, all of that kind of stuff. And I remember when I turned 14 was when I truly sort of like grew in my relationship with the Lord, grew in my ministry as a singer, and accepted my voice.
Wow.
And so since then, by God's grace, I've been able to work with many professionals, many great people to just really increase the talent and the gift that God has put
You
in me.
said you mentioned many professionals and many great people. Give us an example of who these great and amazing people are.
Well, I mean, the most and still current one that I do work with is Minister Dinah Hamilton. Shout out to you. Honestly, she's my mentor. She has groomed me, but even before her and working with her so closely, I worked with people like Elder Daniel Akapo. He really worked my voice. We'll go to rehearsals and you could stay on one vocal exercise for 10 years
Wow.
because he was such a perfectionist. But
Wow.
all such people have really helped contribute to the skills that I have. Even people on a more professional level, like Sheila Crosby, who actually studied music, and I got to work outside of church setting with her, doing professional singing in like funerals and weddings and things like that.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been a
Wow.
journey.
That's amazing. And looking at your journey, like you said, you've always ended up in choirs and you worked with so many people. What inspired you, to really now pursuing gospel music or pursuing just specifically going into gospel, going into sing, for the Lord?
Okay. I must admit, I just think, like I said earlier, I mean, my passion for the Lord began as little as 5 years old. And I've always had this deep connection to God, even when I did not understand. Now, as I grew in my relationship with the Lord, I just feel like the connection just became stronger. Revelation came out a bit more, like through reading scriptures, I just got a deeper understanding with Him. And although when I was much younger, I did idolize people like Beyonce. We all were a little bit into those kind of music. I idolized people like Rihanna and things like that. But I think ultimately, I always leaned back to gospel. I always leaned back because that's where I found solace. That's where I found more comfort. Even as a child,
Yes.
I just felt comforted whenever I would sing worship. So it kind of just flew and grew that way.
That's amazing. And how would you describe your style of gospel music? What style would you describe it as?
That is a hard question.
Really?
The reason why it's hard is because I also grew up on people like Luther Vandross. I grew up on people like Aretha Franklin.
So you feel like there's been a lot of influence.
Influence of different genres, exactly. So I generally even think, like, for example, at the moment, I've got a single out called Toda.
Okay.
And I feel like the style, when you listen to that, is very jazzy, it's very bluesy, which I love. Like, that is my thing. But on stage, sometimes you're getting all kinds of genres with me when it comes to worship. So I don't limit myself to a particular genre, but I would say there are things I do lean towards depending on the season and the atmosphere and things like that.
Wow, that's interesting. And obviously, as time goes on, we'll hear a lot more, about your songs and the type of songs that you have. And being here in the UK, people think sometimes, you're in the UK, things are easy and things are straightforward because you're in Europe. You must be. London is like one of the biggest one of the funnest city to live in. And once you live in London, a lot of people know you. What's been the biggest challenge as an artist living here in the UK?
I think even before artist, what has it been like living here as a person?
Before living here as an artist.
Before an artist, right? Honestly, I think it has been very challenging. My family and myself have gone through a lot together. And when I say my family, I'm referring to my mom and my younger sister, my little nuclear bubble. And, life really threw some hard hurdles our way. One of the biggest things that I feel like not just myself, but a lot of people or ethnic minorities have and are experiencing in this country is immigrational issues.
Yes.
And we actually endured that for a good over 10 years.
Wow.
Like I said, I'm coming up to 20 years. I've only just stabilized in this country.
Wow, after 20 years.
After almost 20 years. And so, no, but to the glory of God, because every single hurdle, every single point in that journey, it has been the Lord who has upheld us. Exactly. We've gone through crazy things like homelessness. We've gone through...
Wow. In the UK?
Yes, in the UK.
Talk to them.
In the UK.
Oh, God is
in the
good.
UK, but God has been so faithful.
Amen.
You know, we've had challenges in the family, such as really crazy illnesses and things like that, but the Lord's hand being so mighty on us had literally pulled us out. He's shown us mercy, even
Amen.
when we felt so dejected and lost and all hope was gone. Literally all I had to cling on was gospel music, my scriptures, and my intimacy with the Lord.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. And concerning music here in the UK,
Yeah.
sometimes a lot of people feel like it's really, really tough to put your music out there. What do you think makes a lot of people not to push their music, or maybe not? Why is it so hard for music to push through in this part of the UK, should I say, or the world, in terms of gospel, the gospel?
I feel like sometimes this particular question, I feel, is something that is still being answered as we go through the times, because I think there are so many factors to why this happens. Personally, from my own observation, I genuinely feel like people are very to themselves in this country. You know, even here, like I was saying to my friend the other day, that I feel like even the Americans,
They're
there's
together.
so much, yeah, there's so much
Unity.
togetherness, there's so much love. Like they see people and they smile.
Yeah.
They see people and
Yeah.
they wave, like they hug people. Here, like
Obi a
you're
no.
trying, oh, like
Or they
everybody
know.
closes their curtains when they get back home.
You don't
And
even know
they're just in
your,
their,
you don't
but
know your
I'm-
neighbor. You know your neighbor.
I know my neighbors.
Okay.
I make the effort to actually know my
Yeah,
neighbors.
okay.
So if you don't know your neighbors,
I know them, but I don't go to them all the time.
I do, no, I.
So
So
it's a
honestly,
culture here.
Exactly. I genuinely make the effort.
You have to, isn't it? Otherwise,
To just be kind to my neighbors. As a matter of fact, one of my neighbors, my very next door neighbor, it was one time I was going out to work and he told me, he's like, I hear you praying and I'm going through cancer at the moment. Would you remember me? And when I win this battle this time, I will come to church with you. And I was so moved because I didn't think I was that loud praying in the first place. But
That's
then
so
for him to
amazing.
actually know that there is a Christian next door who is praying and he believes in that power enough to ask for prayer, I thought that was powerful. And so I really do my little bit as much as I can to really spread love, spread the cheer of Jesus Christ as much as I possibly can to just remove some of this negative culture, because like I think I heard somebody say there's also a level of unhealthy competition
yeah,
in the UK, and that's part of why music
it's hard to be
is
pushed.
is hard to be
Especially the
pushed.
gospel.
But I just think it's because sometimes people don't know the way. And unfortunately, a lot of our people, our cultured people, tend to gatekeep. And that's another thing I've found. Like, instead of them telling you, oh, I went through this route and I spoke to this person and I did
They don't
this
want
and
to
I
tell
did.
you. You
They
go
don't
through your
want
own
to tell
thing.
you. You have to suffer it yourself.
Yeah.
And when you're suffering, there'll be the same person pretending to empathize with you. I think it's a little crazy, and I don't even think it's godly. But here we are.
That's very true. Wow.
May God have mercy on us.
And God help us.
May God help us. Yeah.
What are some of the positive and negative aspects of being a musician here, or a gospel artist here in the UK, would you say?
What are the positives?
Yeah, the positive, yeah, and the good side and the bad side. Because even though we have the bad side, not enough support, not, sometimes not having the right people around to support you. That's one of the bad side. What's some other bad side and what's some other good side? We have to weigh it out.
Yeah. I think the positives are that, you go on this journey that builds good character, right? And that would actually uphold you in ministry when you go off and you're all over the globe doing all kinds of various
Yeah.
things. Your character will now speak well
Wow.
of you because you've now built the
Built,
endurance.
yeah.
Exactly. So I think that's a very pivotal thing. And then when you do find your tribe, honestly, they can be a bit of a ride or die. And that can feel nice. It can feel nice because community is very important.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I would say that's the positive. The negatives, I mean, we've spoken about some
Yeah,
of
we've
it
spoken about
already. I think we could do better at showing up and not just saying. Like, you find a lot of people
that's so
say,
true. Can I have an event and then I'll come
yeah,
and nobody
oh,
says.
but we are coming. And
You
then
don't get a support.
before you know it, it's like, it's not quite, or people would even go as far as book the ticket. They'll buy the ticket.
But they won't turn up.
They won't turn up. And that can be hard. And especially when you're starting out, it can really knock your confidence a little bit, but this is where you revert back to the person who called you and uphold his principles to say
Over the
that,
other people.
exactly, to say that, you know what, if you have truly appointed me for a time such as this, you will fulfill that which you have put inside
Exactly. It
of me.
doesn't matter who's supporting me or not.
It doesn't, right? It doesn't matter who's cheering, because at the end of the day, it's actually an audience of one.
Yes. He's
It's
cheering
an
you.
audience of
And
one.
that's more important.
And that's more important.
Yeah.
Even when you're on stage and you're nervous.
That's so true. Wow. That is so powerful.
Yeah.
And what achievements are you most proud of as of date? You know.
I have to laugh because honestly, there's so many.
Oh, okay. You can name some of them.
By God's grace, there's so many. And I take no credit for any, not a single one of it. I think one of those things has been just building tenacity in my calling. Because, you know, like I said earlier on, when the Lord calls you, or when the Lord appoints you, it's a journey. And even when He has given you the instructions, even for the now, He's giving you. So let me give you an example. So Noah, I was sharing this with a friend the other day. So Noah, right? You know, the Lord had called him and told him, build this ark, redeem people unto myself, and, you know, I'm bringing my judgment down, redeem as many who will come to you. And as soon as the Lord gave Noah these instructions, he obeyed and he ran and he just did it. He didn't question. The guy just did it. But did you know that as soon as the ark was built, the Lord was silent? The Lord was silent for a good 100 years.
Wow.
100 years the Lord kept quiet on Noah. But not once did you see in that passage that Noah would turn around and say, but God, where are you? What's going on? He was just faithful. He was just, I don't know what he was doing, whether he was repainting the ark, whether he was decorating.
Yeah.
He just made him, I can imagine, you will find something to do. He made himself busy and he stayed faithful. And, you know, after the 100 years, when the Lord turned to look at him, it wasn't even like anything where like, oh, where have you been? He just gave him another instruction and he just went straight for it and he obeyed. And next thing we know, he got these animals 2 by 2 into the ark. And before we know it, you know, the flood came, etc. And I think when the Lord really has appointed you for His work, He takes you through a process. But a lot of people don't like the process. It's not even me. I still sometimes don't like it because it's hard. It's hard. And depending on
you.
Right, but depending on the weight of the glory that He is trying to bestow upon you and the power He's trying to release inside of you, it can feel very, very heavy. I mean, we see people like in the scriptures, Elijah. He's here, God is using him doing big and mighty things. And as soon as he's done doing one of the biggest miraculous things he could do, the fire came, he feels like killing himself. And so sometimes the weight of God's glory can be so heavy, especially in the process. If you don't find the right, you know, people to be around, if you don't find, if you don't even allow yourself to lean into God well, you realize that you now start counteracting what God has deposited inside of you. Because how can a man such as Elijah, big as him, do such miraculous things and then turn around and say, I want to kill myself?
Because there's other prophets out there. There's no other prophet out there apart from him.
Exactly. So we need to understand that even this journey we're on, whether we're in the process or we're not in the process, there is warfare. Every single day of a Christian's life is warfare. And so for a split second, when we fail to see that we are not standing on our own accord or we have arrived, right? We literally fail to realize and acknowledge the mercy of God that will sustain us. Because in Elijah's situation, the mercy of God carried him to the brook. And he kept him there for a time and fed him.
And refreshed him.
And renewed him. And that time is important. But I think over here, especially in this country, a lot of the time, people really resonate this with depression. They call it all kinds of names. And then, you know, they allow that to really weigh them down.
What achievements are you most proud of as of late?
I would say my greatest achievement is remaining steadfast in God, 1. 2, by God's grace, although it's taken many years, I have achieved a part of my career certificate. a degree in some part of nursing, and I am so proud of that by God's grace. I've finally achieved my settlement in this country after
Amen.
20 years.
Amen.
So that is definitely an achievement.
Mhm.
I've been able to get myself settled
Mhm.
in not in a bragging way, but in a peaceful way.
Amen.
And honestly, but ultimately, I would say my steadfastness in God, because the challenges have been many, the warfares have been many, but the Lord has delivered us from them all,
He's kept you.
literally, and He has kept me. He has kept
Amen.
my family, and
Wow.
by God's grace, I believe this year even is the Abrahamic year of blessings, right?
Amen.
And He has just been releasing different dimensions of blessings, not just for myself,
Your
but
family.
people who are even around me, by God's grace, who are equally benefiting from my ministry.
So, tell us a bit about your songs, how many songs you have, and we'd love to hear your voice as well.
Pressure.
Yeah, so tell us a bit about your songs that you've released or the songs that the Lord has given you.
Okay.
And yeah.
So actually, I have not released any originals of my own just
Okay.
yet. I'm still waiting for my sponsors. If I was out of this setting, I would have said my sugar daddies, but let's behave ourselves. I'm kidding. I'm
You
kidding.
will
I'm
not
kidding.
say
I'm kidding.
anything.
We're not saying- No, but
You're joking.
I haven't released any originals of my own just yet. I have put out my very first single,
Amazing.
and
What's it
it's called
called?
Toda,
Uh-huh.
which is a shout of praise. And so it's a medley and a compilation of songs we already know, songs you've heard in your daily activities, full of gratitude. And this medley, it was very spontaneous how it even happened.
Wow. Can you sing one of the songs from that medley?
Oh, like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'd love to hear you.
So the first song is in Tree, and it says, Samisha Adia Wayamamia Wa Mama Kumatomia Samisha Adia Wayamamia Makoto Nama Sorry, which simply means, when I look back over the things that you have done for me, I can't but bow.
Amen.
You know, sometimes I think we don't thank God enough for the things that He's done for us. There are things that we should still, like, when we think about it, we should just lay on the floor and be like, God, I don't know how I got here, and it's only you. And that's
Wow.
my testimony.
That is amazing. And looking at support, you're so talented.
Thank God.
You have such a great gift.
Thank God.
And I really believe that the Lord wants to use you not just to bless others, to touch others, to bring deliverance. Now we need should I say fans, not just fans, people to support you, so that we can push your ministry out there. Like you said, you have your own songs, you have your own music. You want
Yeah.
to take that bold step forward. What do you need from the fans, for the viewers, for those who are listening out there, from them, for those who want to support you, so that you can get to the best of QB worship, and get to the best that you can in terms of what type of support you need right now? 'Cause you need
Okay.
it.
So, I mean, the very first would be prayers. Keep me in your prayers, because without prayer, we cannot do anything. Because I believe it is the Lord who gives us the ability to will and to do. So, I may have an idea, I may have a song, but if the Lord does not will, it
Wow.
will not be established.
Wow.
And so, I always endeavor that God's will be done, even in the things that I produce. And in support of God's will comes
Money.
yeah, I need support in that for sure. I mean, sponsors will be great. Whatever it is, a widow's mite, whatever it is, I mean, as you are led to do. Because like I said earlier before, people are so quick to say, hey, mommy, you're not releasing single. Mommy, you're not
Where's the
releasing album.
support?
But, you know, we need to start walking in the action of love. Because we're so quick to talk about love, but sometimes we don't realize we sound like a clanging cymbal, because you're just making noise sometimes
Without doing anything.
without doing anything. So let's just add to the noise a little bit of action. And sometimes this action is sacrifice. Sometimes you may not even know. Like, I've been in positions where I've been to other people's ministries or events and things like that, where God has said, I need you to go sow that seed. And you're like, but God, my petrol. But God, whatever. And the thing about God is that I believe and I always uphold is that you cannot come into his presence and leave the same. So that means there is nothing that you can even give unto him. So if you're coming and you're giving, you're moving his heart. And you're saying, hey, like you're showing him that there is a dimension to human beings that he can trust again by the faith of your sowing.
Yeah.
And so as you sow, he multiplies. As soon as you're even stepping out, somebody is calling you saying, oh, sis, I feel like I owe you some money or something. And it's happened to me before. So sacrifice. Let us all sacrifice. Let's sow.
That's amazing.
And obviously, social support. I mean, social media today, by God's grace.
What's your social media page? How do we
So
connect with you?
everywhere, if you type in QBWarship, some of them have underscores and things, but so long as you type QBWarship, it will come up. It's all the same everywhere. You can't miss it. Follow me, push the videos I put out, support by, liking, sharing, promoting, tell a friend, and that kind of thing. That's always welcome.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. QBWarship has been amazing talking to you.
It's amazing.
And we can't wait for the future holds, and God
Amen.
continue to use you and bless you.
Amen.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
This is Footprint TV, your ultimate Christian entertainment TV channel. Footprint TV, here to bless.